Hey guys, tonight we travel somewhere high. Really high. No, not that kind of high. I mean high in the Andes, where the clouds brush past your ears, and the air smells like stone, sun-warmed grass, and something fermenting quietly in a clay pot under a thatched roof. You're lying on a llama wool mat, and someone just poked your ribs with a stick. Not out of malice, of course. Just tradition. That's how apprentices get woken up in your village. Congratulations. You're now a brewing novice in ancient Peru, in the time of the Wari people. It's chilly, it's misty, and it's 543 in the morning. You're not entirely sure what year it is, because your calendar is based on the moon and how many times the elder sneezes after eating cactus soup. But one thing is certain today. You're going to help make chicha. A slightly sour, surprisingly spiritual, and definitely sleepytime kind of beer. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're still awake enough, let me know in the comments what city you're listening from, and what time it is there right now. I love seeing all the night owls checking in from around the world. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You sit up, brushing dew off your sleeves, and glance around. The mountains are wrapped in a soft grey shawl of clouds. Somewhere nearby, a guinea pig squeaks. You'll learn not to get attached to those. Your task today begins not with beer, but with a walk. The older brewers like to start the day with a good 5-mile trek uphill, not for fitness, though your thighs will disagree, but because the best corn is grown on terraces high above the valley. These ancient step fields have been sculpted into the mountainside by generations of expert farmers who somehow managed to grow crops where even birds seem hesitant to land. You're walking alongside another apprentice named Cantu. She's been chewing coca leaves since dawn and has already outpaced you twice. You want to ask her if she's done this before, but she's too busy telling a story about how her aunt once brewed a batch of chicha so strong that a llama danced the whole night and then refused to work ever again. You reach the cornfields, and there it is, the star of tonight's story. Tall, proud stalks of Maigs Morado. Deep purple corn that looks almost black in this early light. And beside them, Maigs Amarillo. Golden yellow and cheerful like a sun you can snack on. These two varieties aren't just pretty. They each have specific roles in the brewing process. The purple one gives the brew its color and calming properties. The yellow, warmth and body. If that sounds poetic, it's because it is. You're going to learn that beer here is not just a drink. It's a ritual, a philosophy, and occasionally a reason to take a nap in a field and call it work. With the corn harvested and bundled like sleepy burritos on your back, you and Cantu make your way down again. At the village edge, an elder named Amaru is waiting. His face has more lines than your favorite bedtime blanket, and he's holding what looks like a carved spoon. But you'll later find out it's used exclusively for flicking lazy apprentices. Did the corn speak to you? He asks. You don't really know what to say, so you nod very seriously. He seems pleased. Back in the brewing hut, you place the corn gently into a shallow basket. It's not time to start chewing yet. That's tomorrow's thrill. But today, you just learn to sort. Big kernels here, small ones there. The odd cob that looks like it's plotting something. Give it to the guinea pigs. As the sun rises higher, Warm light spills into the brewing space through slats in the woven walls. The room smells like old wood, damp clay, and something sour, sweet lingering from yesterday's batch. There's music too. Soft panpipes playing from somewhere down the hill, where a grandmother is grinding spices and humming to her dog. Or maybe to herself. Or maybe to the mountain. You finish your sorting, and Amaru nods again. He doesn't say much, but every time he does, it sounds like a proverb, even if it's just, "Don't spill the corn again." As night falls and you sit by the hearth with your bundle of sorted kernels, you're already sleepy. Not just from the altitude or the long walk, but from the rhythm of the day, the gentle tasks, and the knowledge that soon you'll be part of something ancient and strange and honestly kind of delicious. Tomorrow you chew. Section 2. You wake up earlier than the sun, not because you're well rested, but because a baby llama stepped on your foot. Outside the beer hut, there's a bubbling sound as water simmers, and the air is thick with the earthy scent of corn. This isn't your typical brewery. No stainless steel tanks, no hipster beards, just a sacred lab powered by love and, well, saliva. Yes, today you're learning to chew corn. And no, there's no metaphor here. You're actually going to chew corn. You sit in a circle, surrounded by a few elderly women. Legends in this village when it comes to fermentation by mouth. It's said that one of them once chewed corn non-stop for 3 days before the king's coronation, producing a batch of chicha so smooth it made the ancestors weep with joy. You're a little nervous. Your mouth is dry, but they just smile and hand you a clay bowl filled with gently steamed corn kernels. Warm, soft, and kind of like prehistoric popcorn. Put it under your tongue. Don't rush, Amaru says calmly, like a rock rolling down a quiet hill. You follow instructions. The kernels slide around your tongue, a bit awkwardly at first. Then you start chewing, but gently, as if you're trying to coax flavor rather than devour it. Your saliva kicks in, slowly breaking down the starches. It's weirdly intimate. Sticky, slightly sweet. That's your enzyme, whispers Kanto beside you. You are now part of the brewery. Once you've finished chewing a small handful, you gently spit it into a shallow clay dish. Sure, this part feels a little gross, but in this room, nobody bats an eye. Instead, Amaru nods and sets a little glob of chewed mash in the sun to dry. Tomorrow, it'll be boiled with water. You're beginning to realizing this isn't just a process. It's a ceremony. Your body, your rhythm, your concentration. These are all ingredients in the drink's spirit. And those elderly women, they're not just master chewers. Each bite is a blessing, a memory, a quiet song. By the afternoon, your jaw is sore, and you've got a corn kernel wedged somewhere deep between your molars, but you feel oddly peaceful. You step out behind the hut to a small ledge overlooking the valley. Terraced fields stretch out below, and the breeze smells like grass and sun-warmed stone. An old jar of vintage chicha sits next to you, deep purple and bubbling lazily. Kanto hands you a small clay cup, a reward for your first batch. You hesitate. Then take a sip. It tastes like fermented yogurt met a sweet corn pudding at a stone temple. Odd, but oddly comforting. We're not just drinking corn, Kanto says. It's the land time. And Grandma's spit. You laugh out loud. Maybe it's the exhaustion. Maybe it's the brew. Or maybe it's the gentle, disarming honesty that somehow makes everything taste better. The sun begins to slip behind the mountains, casting a golden, pink glow over the clay pot by your feet. You lean back and doze off for a bit. A guinea pig sneaks up and steals a kernel from your pouch. You don't even bother stopping it. By dusk, the kitchen clinks start again. Pots, stirring spoons, and the crackle of fire. The women start humming a low tune, one they believe helps the fermentation. You lean against the doorway, watching them move through the firelight like dancers in slow motion. And your mouth, still tingling with that faint sweetness of corn and fermenting dreams. Who knew the journey to make a bear could begin inside your own mouth? Section 3. By your third day in the village, your jaw has officially become a minor celebrity. The locals joke that you chew like a llama in love, slow, steady, and slightly confused. You've moved past embarrassment now. You even caught yourself humming while chewing this morning. That's when you knew it had begun. You're becoming part of the rhythm. Today, however, you're stepping away from the chewing circle and into the brewing fire zone. This is where the chewed, sun-dried corn, called muco, is transformed into drinkable, slightly fizzy chicha. You're nervous again because, unlike chewing, this part involves actual heat and, well, possible explosions. You're assigned to steer duty. The cauldron in front of you is about the size of a bathtub and smells like a cross between oatmeal and hot summer soil. Amaru hands you a paddle that's taller than you, carved with symbols of maize gods, jaguars, and a spiral you don't dare ask about. Keep it moving or it sticks, she says. Easier said than done. Within 5 minutes, you've broken into a full sweat. The muco is boiling in cloudy water, thickening with each turn of the paddle. Steam rises, wrapping around you like a damp ghost that smells faintly like breakfast. You steer clockwise, then counterclockwise. Your arms are protesting. Your back is reconsidering its life choices. But here's the funny part. You start to zone out. The smell, the bubbling, the repetitive movement, it's almost hypnotic. Your thoughts drift. What were the Wari thinking the first time they accidentally fermented corn? Were they trying to cook dinner and just got distracted for a week? Did someone dare someone else to drink it? You picture a Wari elder squinting at a bubbling pot, shrugging and saying, smells weird, but I'm thirsty." While you stir, Amaru starts telling stories, not just village gossip, but the deep stuff. Tales of rain gods who demanded corn offerings, of chicha used in sacred rituals to connect with ancestors, of festivals where people drank until they passed out and claimed to have seen the sky's bones. That last one sticks with you. The chicha isn't just a drink, it's a medium, a memory in liquid form, a slightly fizzy conversation with the past. You help pour the thick brew into giant clay jars. These jars are like sleeping giants, each one as tall as your chest, sealed with banana leaves and marked with colorful dyes. Your job is to keep them warm but not too warm, let them breathe but not too much. It's like babysitting a potion with very specific boundaries. Cantu gives you a short nod of approval. Not bad for someone who called it corn beer 2 days ago. You grin. I've evolved. I now call it mystical porridge juice. That night, as the fire crackles low and the fermentation jars emit the occasional sleepy burp, you sit beside the elders once more. This time, you're offered a second cup. Slightly younger chicha, brighter in flavor, still tangy but smoother. You take a sip and feel it settle into your bones. Not in a strong, alcoholic way. This stuff is pretty mild, but in a way that feels ancient. It's as if your body recognizes this process, this drink, this moment, like something stored in your DNA has just been activated. Across from you, an old man begins to hum. The others join in. You don't know the tune, but it doesn't matter. You close your eyes and let the sound, the warmth, and the sleepy fermentation haze carry you. For the first time since arriving, you don't feel like a visitor anymore. You're just a tired human, sitting under the Andean stars, sipping something brewed with patience, spit, and love. And honestly, it's the best drink you've ever had. Section 4. You wake up the next morning with a sticky feeling around your mouth and a vague sense that your dreams were unusually bubbly. But no time to dwell. Today is all about the secret ingredient that turns that fermented corn mush into the magical Sleepytime brew, the special herbs. You follow Amara down a winding path through the terraced hills, past fields of quinoa and wild potatoes, toward a patch of shrubs and flowers glowing softly in the morning sun. This isn't your average garden. It's a wild pharmacy curated by generations of hands. Each plant carefully chosen for flavor, aroma, and, most importantly, its gentle Sleepytime effects. Amaru picks a handful of leaves, some fuzzy and soft, others pungent and sharp-smelling. "This one," she says, holding up a sprig of muga, "is our minty friend. Helps settle your stomach and calm your thoughts." She adds a pinch of another leaf, native to these mountains, which apparently makes the chicha slightly more soporific. Perfect for those restless nights under the vast Peruvian sky. You take a deep breath and feel your chest loosen. It's like the mountain itself is exhaling through these plants. Back at the brewing hut, you help mix the herbs into the still warm brew, stirring slowly as the fragrant steam rises. The scent is heady, like minty earth with a hint of something wild and secret. You watch as the mixture bubbles softly, the herbs infusing their sleepy magic. While the chicha steeps, Amaru shares stories of the ancient healers who first discovered these plants. How they learned which combinations would bring peace to tired minds without knocking you out cold. It's science and magic, braided together with centuries of trial-error and probably some very patient volunteers. You feel honored to be part of this tradition, especially since it means you get to sip on the results later. The afternoon passes in a gentle haze. You help clean the brewing tools, watching the light change through the open windows and feeling the slow pulse of the village day. As twilight creeps in, you gather with the others for the first proper taste of the Sleepytime chicha. It's smoother than before, with a delicate herbal whisper that tickles your senses. You take a slow sip, letting the flavors swirl. A little sweet, a little tangy, and a calming note that feels like a soft blanket settling over your brain. It's the kind of drink that doesn't demand attention, but invites surrender. You lean back, eyes half closed, as the village hums quietly around you. Somewhere nearby, a dog barks softly, and the scent of drying corn lingers in the air. The night is young, but your mind is already easing into a gentle lull. You think maybe, just maybe, this ancient Sleepytime beer was exactly what you needed. Section 5. The next morning, you're woken not by an alarm, but by the rhythmic clinking of clay jars being moved about the courtyard. It's another day in the life of chicha, making today you're introduced to a curious little tradition, the tasting ceremony. You follow Amara to the communal plaza where the village gathers in a loose circle. The air is cool, carrying the scent of earth and fresh corn, mixed with a hint of wood smoke. The clay jars, now fermented to perfection, are opened one by one, releasing a gentle fizz and a faintly sweet, earthy aroma that fills the space. Amaru explains that this ceremony isn't just about taste. It's a ritual of connection. Each sip is a reminder of the land, the ancestors, and the shared effort it took to get here. You notice how the villagers drink slowly, their eyes soft, as if each swallow is a quiet conversation with history. When it's your turn, you raise the cup carefully and take a measured sip. The flavors unfold gently. Mellow corn, a touch of wild herbs, and that familiar sleepy fizz. It's comforting, like a familiar song sung in an ancient language you almost understand. As you settle back into the circle, the elder cantor begins to speak softly about the spiritual importance of the chicha. It's not just a beverage. It's a bridge between the earthly and the divine. A liquid prayer that invites dreams and restful sleep. You can't help but smile at the thought. Here you are, a visitor from a noisy modern world, slowly becoming part of a tradition that's as old as the mountains themselves. The day stretches on with quiet stories, shared laughter, and the easy rhythm of village life. You realize that brewing Sleepytime beer isn't just about fermentation. It's about patience, community, and a deep respect for the slow dance of nature. By evening, you feel a soothing calm settle over you, carried on the soft Andine breeze. And as you prepare to rest, you think about the journey of this humble drink. How a simple kernel of corn, chewed by many hands, transformed into a potion that cradles the night. And maybe, just maybe, this is the best way to end a day. Word count 1090 awaiting command. Continue. Section 6. As days turn into weeks, you start to notice something you didn't expect, and the villagers' deep respect for their brewing tools. These aren't just pots and paddles. They're heirlooms, each with its own story and personality. One afternoon, Amaru shows you a wooden paddle carved from a single piece of cedar. It's smooth from years of use, with faded symbols of the sun and moon etched along its handle. This paddle, she says, was made by my grandmother's grandmother. It's been stirring chicha for over 100 years. You're fascinated. It feels like holding a piece of history, not just wood. Amaru explains how the paddle is treated with sacred oils, and that it's considered bad luck to use it without first offering a small prayer to Pachamama, the earth goddess. Later, you watch as the village elder gently anoints the paddle with corn oil before handing it to the next brewer. It's a quiet ceremony, but you sense its importance. This is more than tradition. It's a way of honoring the connection between people, their craft, and the land. You begin to think about how different your life back home is. Your kitchen tools, while convenient, don't hold stories or prayers. They don't carry the weight of generations or the hopes of a community. That night, as you stir the bubbling chicha with that very paddle, you feel a strange mix of gratitude and humility. This simple act, stirring fermented corn with a carved wooden stick, has become a moment of mindfulness, a link in a chain stretching back centuries. You imagine the countless hands that have stirred before yours, the quiet hopes whispered into the steam, the dreams carried in each bubble rising to the surface. And somewhere deep inside, you start to understand that this is what makes the Sleepytime beer so special. Not just the drink itself, but the stories, the hands, and the hearts behind it. Section 7. By now, you're no longer just a curious visitor. You've become part of the rhythm of this sleepy village, where brewing chicha is both an art and a way of life. Today, Amaru invites you to learn the final and most delicate step, the slow fermentation. You follow her to a shaded corner where large earthenware jars rest on beds of straw. The jars are wide-mouthed and squat, their surfaces rough and weathered by years of sun and rain. Amaru explains that these jars are the lungs of the brew, allowing it to breathe and transform over time. You carefully pour the sweetened corn mixture into one jar, watching the liquid swirl with golden hues. Amaru sprinkles a pinch of a mysterious powder into the mix, the village's secret yeast, harvested from local fruit and flowers. You think about the magic microbes invisible to your eyes, waking up and starting their slow, sleepy dance. As the days pass, you check on the jars regularly, noting the gentle fizz and subtle changes in aroma. The air around them smells faintly sour, like the promise of dreams. You learn that the temperature and even the position of each jar can affect the flavor and potency of the brew. Amaru shares a little secreting: in cooler months, the fermentation slows down, making the beer smoother and milder, perfect for sipping before bed. In warmer seasons, it speeds up, resulting in a bolder, more invigorating drink. You can't help but marvel at the balance. Nature and human hands working together in a slow, unhurried collaboration. It's a far cry from the instant gratification of modern drinks. One evening, as twilight paints the sky in soft pinks and blues, you sit beside the jars and inhale deeply. There's something deeply soothing about the process, watching life unfold in quiet, unseen ways. And as you sip the finished chicha, the Sleepytime brew wraps around you like a gentle embrace, inviting your mind to drift softly into dreams. Mo word count 100 zine, in awaiting command. Continue. A Section 8, the mornings here are quiet but alive with small sounds. The distant bleating of llamas, the soft rustling of corn stalks, and the occasional chatter of villagers greeting the sun. You've started to notice how the act of brewing Sleepytime beer is woven into every part of daily life. Today, Amaru takes you to the marketplace, a bustling yet mellow gathering of farmers, artisans, and elders. Tables are piled with bright fruits, woven textiles, and bundles of dried herbs. But what catches your eye most is the small corner dedicated to chicha. There, several women sit around steaming pots, carefully ladling the warm brew into clay cups, offering taste to curious passers-by. The Sleepytime beer isn't just for home. It's a shared joy, a cultural treasure passed between neighbors. You chat with a few locals who tell you that the chicha carries more than flavor. It carries stories, memories, and even health benefits. Some swear it helps ease anxiety, others say it soothes stomach aches, and a few nod sagely, claiming it helps one dream of the ancestors. As you sip your own cup, the taste feels richer here, like it's soaked up the warmth of human connection. Amaru tells you about the ancient trade routes, where chicha was exchanged along with textiles and pottery, linking far-flung communities across the Andes. You imagine traders sipping the brew around campfires, sharing tales beneath star-studded skies. You realize that Sleepytime beer isn't just a drink. It's a thread in a vast tapestry of culture, tradition, and friendship, stretching back through centuries. As the sun dips low, you feel a quiet gratitude for being part of this slow, sweet ritual. One that transforms simple corn into liquid comfort, nourishing both body and soul. Section 9. One evening, as the village settles into the soft hush of dusk, Amaru invites you to join a special gathering, the storytelling circle. The Sleepytime beer, now your trusted companion, is passed gently from hand to hand, warming the air with its mellow charm. You find a spot on the woven mats, the crackling fire casting dancing shadows on weathered faces. The elder Cantu begins to speak, his voice low and rhythmic, weaving tales of the chicha's origins. From the first kernels of corn planted in the fertile valley, to the discovery of fermentation as if by magic. As the story unfolds, you can almost see the ancient farmers laboring under the sun, their hands sticky with sap and corn juice, their spirits lifted by the promise of the brew's soothing effects. Canto's voice dips into humorous anecdotes, like the time a young apprentice tried to speed up fermentation with a secret concoction that, unsurprisingly, did not please the village nose. You smile at the thought, even in ancient times, impatience wasn't rewarded. The storytelling wins on, blending history, humor, and reverence. You feel yourself lulled by the cadence, the flickering firelight, and the gentle buzz of Sleepytime beer coursing through your veins. It strikes you how storytelling and brewing are intertwined. Both crafts that require patience, attention, and a sprinkle of magic. As the circle quiets and stars blanket the night, you feel wrapped in a timeless embrace, a guest in a tradition that has cradled countless dreams before yours. Word count 1097 awaiting command. Continue. A section with a few weeks under your belt, you start noticing the little quirks in the brewing process, things that no manual could ever teach you. For example, the way the village dogs seem to know exactly when the brewing is happening, sniffing around the fermenting jars like they're guarding a sacred treasure. Amaru chuckles when you mention it. They're the unofficial chicha guardians, she says. No one's sure why, but they never bark or disturb the process. Maybe they sense the magic. You start to pay attention, and sure enough, the dogs lounge nearby, their eyes half closed, almost as if they're meditating on the smell of the brewing beer. It's oddly comforting. Then there's the matter of temperature. Back home, you might crank up a thermostat or grab ice cubes, but here nature does all the work. The cool mountain air slows fermentation overnight, while the daytime sun adds just enough warmth to keep things moving. You learn to read the weather like a brewer's Bible. When the wind picks up, it means the fermentation jars might need extra straw insulation, and when clouds gather, you prepare for a slower brew day. It's a dance with nature, not a battle. You appreciate the patience it requires. How the Sleepytime beer teaches you to slow down, notice the small things, and embrace imperfection. And that, you realize, is the real secret ingredient. Section 11 today. Amaru takes you on a walk to a sacred grove just outside the village, a place where the community gathers to honor Pachamama, the Earth Mother. Here, among ancient trees and moss-covered stones, the brewing process takes on a spiritual dimension. You watch as Amaru carefully selects a handful of native herbs, wild mint, lemongrass, and a delicate flower known only to the locals. These plants aren't just for flavor. They are believed to bless the brew with calm and peaceful dreams. Back at the village, you help prepare a new batch of chicha, incorporating the sacred herbs into the mix. The aroma is fresh and earthy, filling the air with a subtle promise of rest. Amaru explains how these plants have been used for generations, not only in brewing but in healing rituals. It's fascinating how the Sleepytime beer doubles as medicine. a comforting sip that eases both body and mind. You sip a cup and feel a gentle warmth spreading through you, as if the ancient earth itself is wrapping you in a soft